Good morning and welcome everyone to FSI, the podcast. Conversations worth having and people worth having them with. I'm excited to bring you the special guest who is going to be one of the speakers at the upcoming Momentum event, which is a partnership event hosted by Kates-Boylston and Homesteaders Life Company. It is a mini NBA in a day for the ladies out there who are seeking to elevate their skills and learn ways to better approach a leadership role from a well-rounded perspective. We're going to talk to Quinn Haisley-Wheeler. She is one of the presenters. She is the Director of Funeral Service Operations and Pet Services at Haisley Funeral and Cremation Service. I will let her tell you more about herself now. Welcome.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's so great to be with you this morning. I'm Quinn Haisley-Wheeler. I am from Fort Pierce, Florida. So I'm located down on the Treasure Coast, southeast kind of area in Florida. Been here my whole life. Second generation funeral director. I get the honor every day to work alongside my dad and my sister here at our funeral home. And yeah, we've really grown our business over the last several years into different ancillary brands. And I'm excited to be able to kind of share my story about how we started and where we're going in the future with everybody at Momentum here in just a couple months.
Yeah, it's coming up fast, actually.
Yes.
So I noticed in your title, you are in charge of pet services. Without giving too much away and going too deeply into it, I'm really intrigued by that because that is becoming more of a conversation within the death care space as an opportunity. And can you just tell us when you embarked on that within your business, offering pet care?
Certainly. So it's one of those things where you like remember instinctively the conversation. Our family went to NFDA, golly, I think it was back in 2009. They were in Orlando, and we're seeing kind of this new trend of like, urn companies offering pet urns now. And as you're walking, around all the vendors, seeing more pets in this space. And I looked at my dad and I said, this is our future. We need to do this. And he's like, no, it's not going to be profitable. It'll be a bigger headache than we think. And now's not the time. And so the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? So I just kind of kept on it. And we are pet lovers in our family. We've always had numerous dogs and cats. We have horses and so forth. So it just felt like the right thing to do. It may have not been the right time at that moment, but I felt that it would be a natural expansion of our business to start offering that. And here locally in our area, there weren't any funeral homes that were offering it. You had a big corporate pet crematory in our area that was servicing a huge, large area. But again, big corporate, lots of volume, not that personal touch. So 2012 comes around, and it was about the time we needed to update our human crematory, and that was the right time for us. So we opened our pet crematory in 2012, and the rest is history. It's been a wonderful expansion for us, and it's brought us a lot of business over the years, even on the funeral side, because wow, I see how great you're treating my dog. Like, if you're treating my dog that way, I know that you'll treat mom that way. So it was a wonderful, idea back then that we've seen through fruition, and hope that we keep going years and years from now.
Excellent. So people aren't growing their families as much, and the influence and the significance of the pet within the family dynamic has actually gained more positioning. So it's actually clever timing.
Right, there you go.
Golly, I need more coffee this morning. The birth rate has kind of quieted down a bit, and so the pets kind of fill that spot. And I think that's clever timing for you to kind of be in front of that and take advantage within your area of noticing that opportunity. And I imagine too, when you're desiring to do something a little different. And I know your session is called Identifying Opportunities for Funeral Business Growth. And one of the things that I noticed when I was reading over the synopsis and things is looking at how to go into untapped opportunities, right? And sometimes it's so comfortable to keep doing what we've been doing, which
Absolutely
is the mantra of funeral service. When you decided to, and I know I'm focusing on pet, I know there's other things that you have grown and developed, but what was it like when you were like, we're going to do this? Like, it's happening. I'm pulling the trigger on this. When you came to that decision to do it, what were you worried at all about how long it would take for return on investment? What were you feeling at that time?
So again, it comes back to that, the timing of things and needing it to be the right time to kind of pull the trigger on that expansion. And for us, it was a little unique. Like I said, it was time for us to get a new human retort. So, we were able to actually refurbish our old human retort to be pets.
Mm-hmm.
So we already had a garage that actually housed our limousine and our hearse that was across the street from our main location. And so we already had the building. We were going to rebuild that old human retort for pets. And that's really what enabled us to kickstart it, and for a fairly low cost. Now, I know that not everybody has that. Not everybody can do that. But for us, it was kind of starting small. And, over the years, yes, we've expanded. We actually last year finished a 2-year expansion project over in pets. And it's incredibly beautiful, and I'm so proud of it. But for us, we had the space, we had the retort, and we started small. It was all about taking baby steps for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say one of the greatest opportunities I had through our relationship with Selected and my dad's study group, I actually traveled to a couple of his friends' funeral homes out of state, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of was able to shadow them and see what worked best for them and how they were working their pet crematory business. And I was able to kind of pull bits and pieces from them and another, colleague of mine, and really develop what worked for us. And it did take a couple years to actually start making money.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, but you got to, take that leap of faith and set goals for yourself that are attainable. And the first year that we were open, we did a few hundred, and we were proud of ourselves. And now we've grown that business to several thousand a year.
Wow.
So the other opportunity that we really had that helped us in getting our name out there in pets, right? We had already been in the funeral space for at the time, over 40 years. But now it was getting us out within that other type of community, those pet families, and with the veterinary clinics, because
Mm-hmm.
we have actual contractual agreements with the vets themselves. That's really what makes my business. It's not just you bringing your pet in that's passed away at home. And we had the opportunity to sponsor the Treasure Coast Veterinary Medical Association, their monthly meeting, where here we have this room of over 100 veterinary clinics along the Treasure Coast. They're there because they need continuing education.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just got 20 minutes to basically sell myself to them. And that was very early on in our opening of the pet crematory that we had that opportunity, and we gained a lot of contracts from that one meeting. So we were very lucky there. All
I
about
like
that
that.
timing.
Yes. And I like too how you said you were able to get some guidance and input from other people within the field. If we would have conversations and learn from each other, it would help in a general sense, just improve
Yeah,
the profession. But I think sometimes it's just penetrating into that idea and past any insecurity to gain access to those types of conversations. But
of
for sure.
course.
So tell us a little more about your session that you'll be offering at Momentum.
Yeah, so I'm going to be kind of talking about, building these ancillary brands and how they can truthfully help your main brand, and expanding your name and, the amount of monetary benefits you have with that as well. Over the years, besides pets, we've also launched an online cremation company as well. So it's kind of just explaining to people how they can really explore these other options, and kind of, again, you've got to take your blinders off and be able to accept a little bit of change and adapt to those changes. And again, it was hard for my dad to kind of see past, we're a funeral home, we are serving, these families in our community. Once he took those blinders off and was open to these new ideas, it's really made our business what it is today. So it's taken that leap of faith, and I'm going to be kind of going over the different processes that we went through, and of course the challenges as well, because I'll be honest, nothing comes easy. You're going to have challenges. One of the biggest challenges with the pet crematory was, you're dealing with city ordinances. You're making sure that your zoning's proper. You're making sure that you're, abiding by all of the state laws and rules, but also our city regulations and so forth. And that was a learning experience for myself because I'd never done anything like that. So we're going to kind of take a deep dive into kind of building those ancillary businesses and those expectations.
And also just how to find the resources and all of
Exactly.
And I like that too, that you mentioned timing, because I think sometimes we have an idea and it's not that it's not a good idea. It's just not the right time for an idea.
Yeah.
And I think being able to discern timing as a factor versus the quality of an idea, I think sometimes that can be challenging. If you're not mindful of that, you can get discouraged and maybe chuck the idea, when in reality, it's just, wait a minute.
Absolutely.
Shifting it in there.
It's tough. And, as I mentioned, we just went through this huge expansion that was finalized last year over in our pet crematory. And we thought that this was going to be like an 18-month time period. It ended up being almost 3 years. So it's having a little bit of patience and not giving up. Like, we knew what the end result was going to be. And of course, your budget doubles during that time period from the original quotes you're receiving. So that was a big learning curve for me, as well as, now I'm dealing with contractors and, this whole other space outside of the funeral business that, we're not experts in. And it's truthfully finding those guides and people that you can trust to get you through it.
And then I imagine you had to put in a little work gaining the trust of the veterinarians, just like within funeral service, right? You have to gain the trust and establish relationships with your clergy or your hospice or all these allied groups that we work with.
Yes. And it's relationship building and putting yourself in front of them. You may not get the answer right away that you want, but it's building that relationship with them and building that trust with them. And, again, some of those people that were at that first, meeting that we talked in front of, it took me over a year to sign that contract with them. And it was repeatedly going in front of them, letting them know our story, getting to know our family and building that trust. And, here we are X amount of years later, and we've been very fortunate to keep a lot of those vets and, build relationships as their businesses have built, it's helped us as well. So
your topic is so exciting. Each of you that I've talked to has been interesting, and the content is so well thought out. You're going to have Courtney talking about return on investment. You have to have Lori talking about, having the courage to get out of that sometimes introvert place and putting, having intention with your energy and what you're doing. So each of you is bringing something that just cumulatively is of great value for what you're going to get in a day, to be honest. Well, you can catch Quinn and these other fabulous powerhouse ladies at the Momentum 2026 event. It is in Celebration, Florida, September 23rd and 24th. There's going to be opportunity to mingle and do some networking the night prior. And then the next day, bring your notebooks and get ready to put in some work, because it is going to be during that day that you'll be able to attend these sessions and get the good takeaways that you can then leave with and start executing in real life back where you work. So it's a very exciting and unique event offering. I will have the link in the show notes where you can learn more about the sessions, the speakers themselves, and how to register. But I want to thank Quinn for her time today and for just kind of shedding and giving us a preview of what to expect.
Thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. I appreciate it.
Thank you. This has been a Kates-Boylston production, and it can be found wherever you listen to your podcasts.